moving forward with the America First agenda. The mandate was given by the American people, by the electorate. President Trump got 77 million votes. The House Republicans got almost 75 million. It's a record number. They are expecting us to get to work, and we don't have time for drama.
As we've reported, this is likely the smallest majority in U.S. history. Republicans are feeling pressure to send a message that they can govern, and we know the Democrats, they would exploit it if there is a messy battle today and a lack of unity, of course. Now, former Florida Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz, he is predicting that Johnson will get through on the first round. That very much remains to be seen, as we know a number of folks are undecided or they have not said where they stand heading into today. Several members that I just saw going over to the floor, talking behind the scenes, many of them are remaining tight-lipped, Emma.
It would only take a couple of lawmakers, though, to delay this process. So we'll wait and see how folks end up voting. Alana, thank you very much for that preview. For reaction, let's bring in now our political panel. Democratic strategist Theron Bond joins us alongside Bradley Devlin, politics editor for Daily Signal. Welcome to you both. Bradley, let me start with you. Just what you're hearing from perhaps Republican sources. What's the vote count look like for Speaker Mike Johnson?
Yeah, nobody has a good grasp on what the vote count will be, whether that's the moderate or establishment side, whether that's Speaker Johnson and his team, or whether that's the conservative side. Even, I think, members of the Freedom Caucus aren't quite sure how their members are going to vote. Why? Because why would you tell the rest of your conservative colleagues that you're going to abstain if you're trying to get one key concession? If there's a whole bunch of people who all of a sudden object to Mike Johnson, well, your worry might not be heard. And so Andy Harris, the chairman of the Freedom Caucus, for example, he's an appropriator. One of his main goals when I interviewed him last year was that he wanted more House Freedom Caucus members on the Appropriations Committee so that they can cut government spending. If his concern is one of many concerns brought to Johnson by members who are holding out on him, well, then maybe his concern won't be heard. So if there's 3 or 4, those concerns are more likely to be taken seriously so that Johnson can get across the line quickly so that the certification of the election can occur on January 6th.
A game of strategy is kind of what I'm reading behind the lines. Folks with their own personal interest could be holding out on some votes. Texas Congressman Chip Roy has also weighed on the matter. He seems to allude to that, saying to The Hill, I remain undecided, as do a number of my colleagues, because we saw so many of the failures last year. We're concerned about that might limit or inhibit our ability to advance the president's agenda. So Theron, as a Democrat, and you're watching this play out, what will you be looking for today?
You know, I'm really confused about what the argument is here, because starting today, Republicans have all of the power. And once the election is certified, then President-elect Trump becomes President Trump for a second term, thus solidifying the power that they have as a result of this election cycle. It should be this simple. Hey, colleagues, if you want Trump to be president again and you want the election results certified, make me speaker. It doesn't have to be hard, and they're making it more difficult. Their conference has all this infighting, and it's completely unnecessary. They can get everything that they want going forward because they have all the power. It's giving very Democrat vibes because they have the power and don't know how to use it. And that's something that we've seen typically on my side of the aisle, is when we have something, we don't know how to leverage it. And that's what they are missing in this instance here.
Very interesting, because Bradley, I also know of the modern Republican Party, there's a ton of different infighting. You've got people from all different factions of the Republican Party unable to come together. Did you want to respond to Theron's point?
Yeah, I think she makes a point well taken. There's a lot of people who say the source of all of our problems in the United States government is the two-party system. Well, this is what a three-party system kind of looks like. Just like a parliamentary system works like in Europe, the Republican coalition is made of a few different factions right now. One is more the center-right faction, and the other faction, major faction, is the hardline conservatives. And so this is what it looks like when you basically have 3, 4, 5 different parties operating at the same time. It's very difficult to get things done. I will say, I think this infighting is necessary, because Trump, 8 years ago, when he became president for the first time, a lot of folks in Congress thought they won their elections despite Trump. Now Trump has a mandate. And now that shift in the Republican Party can be completed over the next 4 years. And I think conservatives see that, and they want to make sure that the congressional leadership reflects the values of the current president. And so that's why I think President Trump has endorsed Johnson, but has also applied pressure, right? Let's address the debt ceiling in the last continuing resolution, which ultimately Johnson wasn't able to address. So that's, I think, what's behind it. I think that the Republican Party is in a massive shift, just like we saw this new coalition bringing Trump to the presidency once more. That still needs to be reflected in Congress.
Yeah. And again, we have a live camera, by the way. I don't want to confuse our viewers here. This is the live picture just outside, waiting to see perhaps if members of Congress would want to talk to the media. They're about to get underway with the 119th Congress and give us a preview as to how they will be voting. By the way, we spoke to, in our 9 a.m. hour, Mike Flood, the congressman from Nebraska. He says he's all on board with Mike Johnson and that he believes every Republican should be at this point to continue and begin functioning in this new Congress. Wanted to share this news bulletin. We're learning President-elect Trump has plans for a Washington, D.C. rally just the day before he's sworn in as our nation's 47th president. Team Trump billing it as a victory rally before the formal inauguration ceremony on January 20th. It's going to be held at an indoor arena. It seats about 20,000 people. So Theron, the president, obviously excited for what's to come, but this isn't the first time we've seen him celebrate with folks. I mean, Mar-a-Lago, by the way, has been incredibly busy in the weeks and months that had followed Election Day.
I mean, this is the lead up to the second Trump presidency. I think it's interesting, the arena that it's being held at, because the metro stop that coincides with that arena is known as Gallery Place in Chinatown. And we know the president has a lot of very specific thoughts about China, especially in relationship to the United States. So I think that little coincidence is what some of us have been laughing about behind the scenes. But he's just trying to show, hey, he has the momentum. Some believe he has the mandate, and this is his party before the party, I guess a pregame of sorts. But I think what the American people will want to see is, after the party's over, after all the celebrations, what is he going to do for the American people, and how long will it take to get it done?
There you go. About the same capacity as Madison Square Garden, which we saw, that was filled up. So, Bradley, interested in attending? You think it'll be sold out venue?
Definitely, I think every congressional staffer should try to get a ticket. Why? Because the inauguration is a more serious professional affair. Trump will be on his best behavior in a rally, in a victory rally, no less. Trump's not on his best behavior, and it kind of brings that populist ethos to the fore, that message that was so raw and authentic that he brought to the grassroots. Well, now he's going to bring it to the nation's capital. And I think members, conservative folks who work in Washington, D.C., should see the folks coming in for the inauguration, listen to the president speak, and just see how motivated these people are to support the president, how desperate they are for this president's agenda to get passed. And maybe that will change the tune on how they work in Washington, D.C. Maybe they'll do a little bit more coming together to make sure that the agenda gets through.
Tickets are first come, first serve, so we'll wait and see. Bradley, Devlin, Theron Bond, thanks for joining us on this Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
New details are emerging following the deadly attack in New Orleans, where 14 people were killed after a man who had